Every little girl grows up dreaming about her happy ever after, but most of us don't have fairy tale scriptwriters making sure we get it. That's where the Happy Ever After show comes in. If you have been waiting for a fairy godmother to wave her magic wand and release your frustrations, create the prosperity you want, and live a life you love, then listen closely. It's time to learn how to make your own wishes come true with your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Happy Ever After show. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am so grateful that you're here with me today for the next 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to talk about time management, and I'm excited to talk about that. First, I just wanted to share something exciting going on in my life, and that is that my latest book launched yesterday. So it's now available on Amazon. If you're an entrepreneur and if you're listening to this show, I'm guessing that you are. This is one that you're going to want to pick up. The name of the book is Marketing to Serve. And again, you can get it on Amazon. Go to Amazon.com and just put it in the search bar and you'll find it. It's got a box with sort of looks like magic coming out of it, as you might imagine from me. So it's called Marketing to Serve, and it is free for the next couple days. So grab it while it's free, take advantage of that, and hop on. It's a good read, and I think you'll enjoy it. I'm going to share a review at the end of the show, and if it calls to you, hop on and grab it, especially while it's free. I love when people take advantage of when we do the free offer at the beginning, so definitely get on and do that. And if you are listening to this after January 20th, when the book is no longer free, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you love the show so that you get the latest episode as soon as it's available. And thank you so much for all of you that have subscribed. It's so much fun having you in my world and putting this show on every week. I'm so excited. So I would love for you to check out the book, Marketing to Serve, available on Amazon for free for the next couple days. So grab your copy now. And then let's get into time management. So talking about my book always brings up this topic of time management. And I didn't really realize that I was doing an awesome job at it until people started asking me, like, I would say, well, what do you want to learn from me? And they would say, how do you get everything done? How do you do time management? I can't believe you can, write a book. I've written 4 books in the last year. All of them are available on Amazon. And I've found a couple keys that work really good. And one of the questions I get a lot too is I actually write my books in 3 days. So I do the majority. I clear my schedule. I give myself about 6 hours a day with breaks in between, and I just bang out the books. And I found that for me, that's the best way to do it, is because it's easier a lot of times to set aside 3 days in a row than it is to add 2 to 4 hours in my schedule for 6 weeks. I just found that it was easier to do it that way. And that's one of the keys to really time management, is finding the easy way to do things. We're going to talk about a few more things as well. This is something that I didn't always have nailed, for sure. It took me about a year, a little over a year, even once I quit my job, to nail this, and before I quit my job, 5-6 years ago, I remember just like sitting in front of my computer until I was just exhausted and couldn't hold my eyes open anymore. I don't even remember what I was working on. It could have been blog posts. It could have been researching stuff. It could have been trying to learn stuff. But I wasn't making money, but I was spending all of this time. I was just like trying to force it to work because I believed if I just worked harder, my business would be a success. I'd figure it out. It would magically become a success if I just put in enough effort and enough time and worked hard enough. And that wasn't the case. That didn't happen. Like, there never came a point where I worked hard enough. There came a point where I said, if this is what I have to do, it's not worth it. And I took a break because I was missing my life. That's not cool either. And I've come to believe that if you're missing your life, you can't actually build the business that you want. Building the business that you want and is going to bring in the income that you want and bring you the people that you want to serve and allow you to be loving your life and your business comes out of a time management strategy that honors the life you want to be living. And so that's really the key, I think, for time management. And like I said, I thought, once I quit my job, I would automatically figure this out. I'd just have more time. And what I figured out is that I went back to some of those old habits of just like trying to work all the time and trying to make it happen and do all this stuff, right? Do all this whole list of things that I now know I don't have to do, which is awesome, just to try and make my business work, to feel like I was worthy of it working, to feel like I was working hard enough. So you might be able to relate to some of those things. And what the change for me really was when I was doing my own program. So about, last May, what was earlier, it was probably about a year ago now, close to this time, somewhere in here, I was thinking about changing up my Money course to Manifest 10K and have the focus be on $10,000 because I found that it's easier to step into something that you can get familiar with. And so $10,000, people could get familiar with what does that look like in your life. And then when you talk about stepping into that, that was easier. And so I never put out a program. I never asked anyone to do anything that I haven't done before. And I'd already done my money course. Of course, it was built on everything that I've ever done to enhance my money mindset. But when it came to the new course, I said, okay, I have to open up to this bigger amount of money. Number one, I'm going to go through it with the changes that I'm making and I'm asking everyone else to do. And as I was doing that and I was opening up to some bigger amounts of money as well, I realized when I put my feelings down, like how did I want to feel or how would I feel when I made the money that I was intending to make? And I was actually opening up to $100,000 because that's what I needed to open up to. If I was going to have 100 people manifest $10,000, I needed to be able to step into making $100,000 in a very short amount of time. And as I did that, as I went through my own process, one of the questions that in the program and that I ask you to do is to think about when you have whatever amount of money it is, and you can do this exercise with an amount of money, or you can do this exercise with your successful business. When you have that, how is that going to feel? And for me, the answer that I got that actually surprised me was I was going to feel free, and I was going to feel freedom and fun. And those surprised me, especially the freedom, because technically I was financially independent. I was building a business because I wanted to, not because I had to. I had real estate income that meant it was definitely a choice whether I wanted to work every day or not. And so the fact that I wasn't experiencing that freedom was a big red flag and a big place for me to figure out why that was. Because somebody who doesn't technically have to work should be feeling freedom all the time. But I wasn't, because I felt like I needed to do all this work for my business, which was pressure and ideas I was putting on myself. Again, because I was kind of stepped back into that mode of if I just work hard enough, it'll happen. But what I know is that you can't create something that you don't know the feeling of. So you can't create freedom in the midst of feeling zero freedom or feeling stuck or feeling trapped. You won't manifest as faster. You can't create what you want as fast and as easy as you want if you're going against everything you want to feel. So if everything in your life feels stuck or you feel trapped, you can't create freedom. And so I started to look at that and really go, okay, this has to change if I want to open up to more money in my life. And as I did that, I started to ask myself, what does a freedom schedule feel like? What does that feel like to me? What makes me feel free? One of the things is taking care of all the things I need and want to do, including self-care, including just picking up the house, including running errands. I wanted to do all that before I started working. So I really wanted to give to myself first because that felt like freedom. If I was taken care of, I felt completely free. So it didn't matter how many hours I worked as long as all that stuff was taken care of. So for me, I started to start my day at 10 o'clock. I don't normally work before 10 a.m. There's a few exceptions. And sometimes I actually do get on at 9:30 and start to check in my Facebook groups and check on things like that and do a couple emails. But I don't schedule any calls before 10. I've actually trained like everyone in my life. My VA knows, she's like, I have this opportunity for you, but I know you don't start before 10. So feel free to say no. She'll pre-qualify it because I've set that very strong boundary in my life and that very strong schedule, because that schedule is the cornerstone of me feeling free, in addition to a couple other things I'm going to talk about. But having that schedule that feels free is what creates momentum and ease and grace in my business and creating my business. So 10 o'clock was the first one. So before 10 o'clock, I'm usually up somewhere between 6 and 7 o'clock. Once in a while, it's a little bit later, but not usually. So I'm up between 6 and 7. And what I do between that time I get up and the time I jump on the computer is I go for a walk or a run. I do a little bit of yoga. I do some meditation. I sip and savor my coffee. I do my own scripting. I write my life as I want it, as I teach those in my year-long group in my workshop to do. So I do that work so that I'm in alignment. I do all of those things. I do any errands. Some days it's an errand. I might have to run, to Home Depot to take care of something or go get something. Maybe I go shopping before that time. Whatever it is, I take care of anything that I need to take care of in order for me to feel taken care of. I do all the things that say to me in my life that I come first. And that's important because so many business owners put themselves on the back burner to their business. But especially if you're a service-based entrepreneur, if you're a coach, if you're, anything that you do, like if you are the main part of your business, you have to take care of you first. And that's what I started doing. And when I did that, that felt really free. Then when 10 o'clock comes, I can give my all to my business, because everything else is taken care of. I don't have this laundry list in my head of things that I have to do. I'm not putting off taking care of myself and going to work out. I'm not putting off going to the grocery store. I'm not putting off, which I've discovered, Instacart. So going to the grocery store isn't necessarily one anymore, but sometimes all of those things that need to be taken care of, that's when I make my phone calls, is before 10 a.m. A lot of places open between 8 and 9. So if there's personal calls I need to make, that's when I do it. It's when I do my laundry a lot of times, because I realize that makes me feel really free to have my laundry done before I start my day, instead of, working all day and feeling like, oh, I still have to do that. So all of those things happen before 10 a.m. because then at 10 a.m., I can give my all to my business, and I feel very good about that. I feel like I am empowered and I'm free and I'm doing it because I want to be doing it. And so that was number one change. That was a huge change in what I call like my freedom feeling schedule. And the second change was actually taking Wednesdays off. So Wednesdays are most Wednesdays. There's a few exceptions to everything, but it's a choice. Most Wednesdays I'm off. So I don't normally get on the computer. I won't even usually check into my Facebook groups once in a while, some days. I don't do work. They are my freedom days. And they are the days that are for me and whatever I want to do. So it might be go to the spa, it might be go shopping. It might be just to stay in bed late and then binge watch a TV show I want to watch after. It's really whatever feels like freedom and whatever I want to do. And I don't put any restrictions on that day. There's nothing I have to get done. It's not necessarily the day where I run my errands. If I want to and that feels good and feels easy, then I do that. But it's really the day that's for me. And it's the day that also activates freedom, because if somebody wants to do something midweek, people know, like my friends know, hey, I'm available for lunch on Wednesdays really easily because I'm off. So I can just do lunch. Or if somebody wants to go to the mountains and stay the night, midweek just for fun, they know they can ask on Tuesday night and I'll be free because I take a full 24 hours off. So generally from 4 p.m. on Tuesday to about 4 or later on Wednesday, I don't work. I don't check in. I don't do any of that. And so that really gives me that freedom feeling that I always wanted when I left my job, because I can take off on a Tuesday and go hang out with someone and not feel like my business is sacrificing or I'm personally sacrificing. I can enjoy the freedom of having my own business and being my own boss. A lot of times I'll go to the movies on Wednesdays, Wednesday afternoon, because I always wanted to do that when I was working. That was what one of the symbols of freedom felt like, right? If you could just go to a movie on Wednesday afternoon, not have to fight the crowd, just go and hang out and enjoy a movie fully. So I take Wednesdays off. So now I love my schedule and it feels so good and it feels so free. And that free feeling is what for me, and this is different for everyone, not everybody's feeling is going to be free, but whatever it is, this schedule feels so free for me and allows money and ideas to flow in so much easier because it supports that feeling that I'm going for. And I credit this schedule with really the opening of my business, money flowing in because that feeling has been activated, but also ideas came. I couldn't have figured out the workshop if I didn't have this space and this freedom. Because if I was forcing myself to work like I was, then I added in a workshop that took up all day of multiple weekend days. That wouldn't have felt good. And so I needed to create a schedule that felt really good so that that could come in. And I hope that makes sense. There just wasn't room in my schedule when I was working. And again, even earlier this year, before I jumped into this schedule, or earlier last year, I felt like there wasn't freedom in my schedule. And when I was feeling like that, there's no way that the idea would have come to add in another weekend workshop, because that would just be even more draining. If I was feeling like I wasn't having time, then taking away my weekends wouldn't have felt good. But when I have Wednesdays off, it feels really awesome to have a weekend workshop. I can give myself to weekend workshop and not feel cheated or trapped or anything like that. I feel free because I love the workshop. And then I also love, having that Wednesday off before and the Wednesday off after. So I'm not getting run down. I'm not getting too stressed. I'm not, feeling overloaded because I give myself that free time. And I truly believe that had I not given myself the time and the space and the feeling of freedom by taking Wednesdays off, by starting at 10, then I wouldn't have been open to that workshop showing up. But it's so good now. And I can see how important it is that I already have Wednesdays scheduled off, because I'm able to give so much of myself because I'm recharged before the workshop. And then I, have another day to recharge after that's already built into the schedule. So your schedule does not have to look like mine by any means. I was at dinner with another entrepreneur last night, and she was like, "Oh, I love to work in the morning. Like, I love to get up and start at 6 or 7 and then be done working by 2. And I'm like, and then, that's when she goes and she does all of her stuff. And that's awesome because that supports her and her business. So the way to really develop a time management strategy that works for you is to first identify how you want to feel in your business and how you are going to feel when you're totally at the success level that you want. So when you're making the kind of money that you want, you're serving the kind of clients that you want, your business is running the way you want it to run, how are you going to feel? And then take that feeling and develop a schedule around that feeling. It might be less hours, honestly. And here's the thing, when you develop a schedule that works into that feeling, everything works better. We will take as long to do things as we have. So if you give yourself a month to do a task, it's probably going to take you a month. If you give yourself 4 hours to do it, it's probably going to take right around 4 hours, because that's the way our brain works. We fit the time that we have. And so even if you lessen the hours in your schedule, what's going to happen, number one, is you're going to get things done more quickly than you anticipated because there's not so much time to fill. That's what I really found, was that when I was working so much more, so many more hours, is that I was just filling time. Like the same tasks would take me longer. At that point, it might take me a half a day to get out my newsletter. When I changed my schedule and really said, okay, there's an hour a week to do my newsletter, I can get it done in an hour a week, sometimes a half an hour, because that's the time that's allotted. So that's what my brain is working with. And we think by working more, we're going to get more done. But if there's not more to do, then you just stretch out the tasks at hand. And so you either stretch out tasks and they take longer than they need to, and you don't get better quality just because it takes you longer. So you either stretch out tasks so they take longer, or you add in stuff because you need something to do. And we've talked about on this show before, and go back and listen if you want, or grab Marketing to Serve, my new book, because I talk about this a lot in there. But you need to do 1 to 3 things really well. And the thing is if you have all these hours that you think you need to fill, you might try to do 10 things instead of 3 things. And what happens is you become less effective because you're trying to do all 10 of those things and fill your hours. Whereas if you just spent the time you want to spend on your business and you focused on those 1 to 3 things, you would get them done a lot easier and more effectively. So let your feeling, the desired feeling, the feeling that you're gonna have when your business is total rocking success, making all the money that you want, let that feeling be the driver of your schedule. And when you realize that that is of utmost importance, it changes everything. So when you are getting offers to do telesummits or do other things, when you really put it through the lens of like, does this feel good? Does this feel like free? Does this feel like I have time to do this? A lot of times the answer is going to be no. And that's okay, because you don't have to do everything to be successful. Having a schedule and a time management process that activates the feeling that you're going to have when your business is a rocking success is going to get you there faster than doing all of these other things. And I know it works because it's what I did. It's what changed my business. Was really one of the things is creating my schedule like it is now, not starting till 10 for me and taking Wednesdays off and being firm in that and saying no if it happens before 10, if I don't really want to do it, or having Wednesdays, honoring Wednesdays and myself on those days and not taking on projects on those days. You get so many opportunities. There's always a way. I could always find a way to justify that I need to work on Wednesdays. It might be to record podcasts, or it might be to meet with someone else that can't meet on any other day. But when I honor my time management and my schedule that honors that feeling of what I really want in my business, everything runs smoother and I'm more successful. And again, I credit my schedule to bringing in the workshop, to allowing that workshop to pop up in my head, because there was space and there was time for it. And it was going to feel good. And that's the cornerstone of my business. So make a schedule that activates the feeling that you are going to have when your business is a success. And really learn that it's okay to say no to anything that doesn't fit into the schedule or that feeling. You will be so much more successful when you do that. Things will come easier. We always think when we say no, we're shutting doors. And the truth is, we're just opening better doors. When you say no to something that doesn't fit into that schedule, something really awesome and juicy comes through. It might not be the next day, but it will come through because you said no. So saying no actually opens the door, and honoring your schedule is the key to creating a business and a life that feels really, really good. And if all this sounds good, but you're not quite sure like how to put it into play, it probably means that your vision of that life that you want to live and how that business fits in isn't totally clear. And so if you want to get clarity on that, you'd like some support with that, jump on a strategy session with me. You can do that at createmyhappyeverafter.com. Just schedule a time, an hour to talk to me. It's complimentary, and we'll just flesh out what is going to make it easier for you to create a schedule that supports a business and a life that you love. So we still have our mantra to today, but I did want to share a review of my book. How much did I love Marketing to Serve? Well, I read it all in one setting, and that almost never happens. And moments after beginning, ran to grab a pen and paper so as not to miss any tidbits. I totally related to the first few chapters and eagerly read for Cassie's solutions. I now have 2 pages of suggestions, and I contacted her to book a strategy call. I love the distinction between wanting to make money and planning to make money, as well as the idea of creating my vision for my ideal life prior to establishing a marketing plan, and love only having to pick 1 to 3 marketing methods. It feels so easy and doable. I will definitely be rereading this gem, as well as recommending to every entrepreneur I know. Thank you for sharing, Cassie. So I just love that was the first review that came in from my launch team, and I just wanted to share that. I love it. I'm so proud of this book, and I wrote it for you to help you get clear on how to market your business in a way that feels so good and so juicy and allows you to serve all of those people who are waiting for you to serve them. So I hope you will pick it up on Amazon. Again, it's Marketing to Serve, and it's free for the next couple days. So there's just one more thing before we close out the show today, and that's the mantra. Today's mantra to go along with time management and creating a schedule that you love is, I honor my time. I honor my time. So enjoy that mantra, create a schedule that you love, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Happy Ever After Show, where you don't need a genie lamp to get your wishes granted. Now that you're inspired and ready to take action, get yourself on the path to your happy ever after by scheduling a complimentary strategy session at createmyhappyeverafter.com.